Hi, my name's Braden Rogers,
My name is Mike Harper.
and we decided to do our assignment on double standards.
We use both primary and secondary research through basic interviews and online surveys to prove our thesis.
Our thesis is pretty much that men and women are both negatively impacted by double standards. The definition of a double standard is a rule or principle that is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. There are many different kinds of theories in which the double standard is abused. The way we look at it in the end is imagine if the genders ended up switching roles. Would the outcome still be the same in a negative way? There are so many ways the world abuses certain gender roles and how society creates a crazy obstruction. We believe that at this date and time there should be more equality and that both genders are demanding it. But how are we supposed to fix it when no one treats each other equal? Women have came a long way in society as in respect from more power in which they did 30 years ago. After reading many different articles and doing research, primary and secondary, we have found that double standards usually have a more negative impact on women and allow men to get away with more. One of the main reasons in which double standards is still around is how media portrays the traits of it still. Our generation and society feeds off how media displays our culture. So ideally, our young generations become the problem when they learn these behaviors and take on the double standards roles.
We use a number of different approaches to help us with our evidence for gender differences in attitudes towards double standards. There are many different thoughts and feelings about double standards, especially without doing the research. It can seem to be one-sided towards negatively impacting women more than men. We find that both men and women get impacted by double standards. Overall, there are substantial gender differences on preferences for double standards, and us as society need to respect one's gender and start treating each other equal as a whole. We also examine whether there is evidence that men and women feel different external pressures regarding double standards. We have interviewed different people on these topics and did online surveys. The results that we got from our online surveys showed that more women wanted to speak out on this topic than men. We had 66 total participants and 58% of them were females. Almost everyone was around the ages of 18 to 24 and already knew what a double standard was. The results also showed that not many participants believed that men were solely affected by double standards. We also found that the most noticed incidents of double standards were seen in relationships and the workplace. The least was in the classroom with only 2 participants choosing this option. Consistent with our thesis, we found that both genders are affected by double standards, but there is more cases for women than men. We see in the news stories about women being able to get away with things like not being arrested for sexual harassment, and other stories about men being able to sleep around because it is the norm for men.
What are your thoughts behind double standards when a male sleeps around, he's considered a stud or considered cool and a social norm, but when a female sleeps around, she's considered a slut?
Well, I think that it goes both ways. I think that they're both guilty of doing the same thing, and it's 2015 and slut shaming is wrong.
On when women sleep around, they're called sluts, but when men do it, they get high-fived and they're called studs.
Well, personally, my opinion on that is it's a little unfair and biased. I think it's judgmental unfairly. You can't have a double standard like that. It's definitely a real thing, though. You see it, if girls sleep around, they'll be labeled as sluts. Guys make fun of them. But if a guy sleeps around, then, well, his buddies, sometimes they'll make fun of him, but most of the time it's seen as an addition, like a boost to his masculinity. He's seen like, they get props, all that stuff. I think it's pretty unfair and biased, and I don't know. There's definitely a clear double standard there.
If you take the article about the 17-year-old girl running onto the baseball field to grab the players' butts, she did not get charged. If it was a male running onto a female softball field, he would have been charge and more consequences would have led for his action because it would be looked at as sexual harassment.
So we found a video where a female ran onto an NCAA baseball field of guys and slapped two of their butts. She had no punishment, no sexual assault, but we believe if it was a male running onto a field and slapped two girls' butts, that he would be charged with sexual assault and be punished. What are your thoughts behind this?
Well, I mean, I think you need to take into account the players' side of things and how they view the entire situation. I'm sure the intention of the person actually doing the butt slapping has a certain degree of impact on the overall situation. For example, if you're just doing a nice little love tap for the boys out there, working hard for the team, I think that's acceptable and that's just encouragement. However, if she's going with an aggressive, full-out, cupping of the buttocks and an aggressive grab in a sexual manner, then no, that's probably not okay at all. And it would be the same if a guy did that to a girl, Little tap for the boys, you're doing hard work, good for you.
But do you not think the girls would over-exaggerate it? So if a guy ran on the field, slapped a girl's butt, would he not be, he'd definitely be charged with sexual assault, but meanwhile the girl doesn't get nothing?
I don't know what kind of girls you know that you're going to classify all girls in that general sense, but I mean, from personal experience, I can't say that a woman's ever been mad if there's little encouragement out there on the pitch,
Thank you.
In the past month, there was an incident where a female ran onto a male's baseball field and touched their butts. Do you think if the roles were reversed and a male ran onto a female softball field, they would not get charged, like she wasn't charged with anything?
No, I think they would. I think that it's different. People look at it differently when it's a guy touching a girl than a girl touching a guy. And yeah.
We have come up with a list of the top 5 double standards that we have in today's modern day. Number 1 is too many sexual partners. This mainly affects women when they are judged based on how many sexual partners they have had. Men, on the other hand, are not judged. They are looked at as studs because it is a social norm for them to sleep around. Number 2 is being overweight. This one affects women more, but also can sometimes affect men. A woman needs to be in shape in today's society to be looked at as hot. They could be in shape and healthy and still not be looked as sexy. Number 3 is the understanding that men work harder than women do. A lot of companies hire men over women because they believe that men do a better job. This could also work in the other way in some situations. Men are overlooked in certain jobs just as much as women are. Number 4 is the fact that women get promoted or move up in a company based on her looks. Just like number 3, in some cases, people believe that women get promoted because they are hot. This can also work for other things. People also believe that women get things like extra attention based on their looks that men don't also get. The last double standard is abusive relationships. A lot of people think that majority of abusive partners in relationships are only men. There's even people out there that think it is not possible for a woman to abuse a man because it is looked at as the man as not being as manly if he lets it happen. Studies show that females abuse their partners just as easily or almost as often as men do. Overall, our evidence suggests that women risk much more disrespect than men for the sexual part of the double standards, but men don't get off too easy in the aspect that women can get away with more than men outside of the sexual aspect. We cannot say for sure that the double standard is the sole reason for the gender equality, but our evidence strongly suggests that it is a factor.